This is the growth strategist, Aldana Ambler. I want to talk to you about Bob. Maybe you'll recognize yourself. He's the majority owner of a $16 million technology-based firm. And the scope and the complexity of the jobs that they've had with their clients, they keep growing steadily over the years. There's a core group of people that have been with Bob for quite a while. You know, one employee who started out as a receptionist was really cool. Went back to school to learn about bookkeeping and invoices so she'd be able to help the business. The guy who used to lead the installation teams is now handling purchasing and also handles the equipment and parts room. That makes sense. But they've had to do some increased recruitment and training and the certification for all the client-facing employees, and that seems to be paying off. But they're at a plateau. And one of the things that's going on is that everybody seems stretched too thin. They're putting out fires, they're feeling reactive, and, frankly, nobody really knows what Bob's going to do next. Now, my question to you is, are they poised for growth following this plateau or free fall? Now, I know, no vignette tells you enough information for you to really know, and it's tempting to jump to a conclusion. And I've seen, all kinds of scenarios work out in the years that I've been doing this, so don't get ahead of yourself. But it does provide enough information for some good questions. I would be interested in how intentional the growth's been to 16 million. There's some businesses that if you have the same size management team that you had at 10, and now you've stretched it to 16, that's the primary problem. It's just like an organizational structure problem. It's not the limitations of the people. You're just asking too much. And how strategic has it been? In other words, with a technology company, one that has, say, $10 million in selling hardware and software stuff and $6 million in services is very different from one that has the opposite with $10 million in services and $6 million in software and hardware. And has that dance been intentionally done? The portfolio, has it been thought through? Because that affects staffing, that affects training, that affects financing, it affects everything. So how intentional has all that been? And if the person who went to learn how to do bookkeeping and invoices, that's helpful, that's wonderful, but are they enough? At 16 million, does Bob's company actually need a controller and somebody that can analyze things like, the significant ratios and the mix and the cash flow and when do you need, what's your debt to equity ratio? I mean, it's different than a startup company. And is Bob still the primary decision maker for the business? And are employees feeling scattered, in part because he's so busy, he's not as accessible, and they're not getting answers to questions. You see where I'm going? I want to know, how did they get to this point? The journey of how they got there. You're not looking for dirt, you're not looking for problems. But it could be one of the causes of a plateau is that a business has drifted into misalignment. You assume that what you used to do at a smaller size is still going to serve you in, your current size and where you're going. And that's not the case a lot of times. And 16 million could be an inflection point. There's a lot of ways that people describe this. Drifting into misalignment sure sounds like consultant speak. The Peter Principle sounds like psychological speak. People are above their level of competence. People who like boats and ships and such call it a rudderless organization. It sounds harsh because, Bob works really hard. What do you mean? They have a president. But think about it. He might look back and wish that he'd gone back for his MBA while the receptionist was studying bookkeeping. Because maybe he knew how to be the startup entrepreneur tech guy. And he's been promoted, self-promoted, to president over a mid-sized enterprise, and it has very different decisions involved. So if your company is at a plateau, and it looks like basically everybody's reactive, and running around trying to solve problems, but not really sure where they're going, you might want to ask yourself, are you at that point where you've drifted into misalignment? And if that's the case, look at the data of your plateau. What's next? What follows the plateau? Growth or free fall? Whoa, food for thought. This is the whole series where I want you to look at the causes of plateaus first and see which one you have going on. And then we're going to look at some of the ways to address each one. How do you break through a stubborn plateau? This is the growth strategist, Eldana Ambler, with your strategy tip of the week.